right. All right, let's do this. Let's wrap this year up. Obviously, I took yesterday off. I was pretty sure I was going to do something. But to be honest with you guys, you'll notice I'm sitting here today. You guys know I have the Lyme disease. I was like holding it together with like Band-Aids and fishing line during the playoffs. But my energy level just completely crashed yesterday, and then today I'm okay. But if I'm going to be here for 20 minutes to a half hour, I'm going to need to sit. So that's what we're doing. All right, let's wrap this up. Couple of things that I saw. I was off of Twitter almost all day yesterday, so I didn't see a whole lot. But a couple of things that I did see. Huberdeau talking about how he wants to win the cup. Bring a cup to South Florida. He wants to be here his entire career. I believe him. I absolutely believe him. Whether or not we can make that happen or not remains to be seen. But obviously, you know, he's going to have to take some kind of hometown discount, as is Barkov, if those two are going to stay together. And, you know, Huberdeau, to me, it seems like he's so frustrated because he wants it to work. And usually guys, when they get that way, they do one of two things. They take the hometown discount and stick to it and try to make it work there, or they get so frustrated that they go someplace else, like LeBron, right? So, if I had to throw a guess out there, I know a lot of people would disagree with this. My gut tells me he's gonna stay. He's gonna stay. The other quote that I saw was about they asked Q about Bobrovsky. And he said basically that, you know, Bobrovsky wants to play, but he also obviously knows the situation we have here, so those things are going to kind of sort themselves out over the summer. You know, this is a tough one for me. You guys know I'm the king of overreactions, right? I'm a Spencer Knight is ready. He's ready. And he is. That said, now if we can jettison Bob and somehow sign Drieger for another year or even two, and it's a 50-50 split, I know Knight has come on and performed out of his mind outstanding. The talent is is obviously there. It's still just 6 games though, okay? And I'm not saying that he's going to regress, but he is going to hit a point at some point. He's going to hit a little bit of a bad stretch. I assume. I mean, did Vasilevskiy ever hit a bad stretch? The second year he played, he split. He had decent numbers. I think .276 was his goals against. So he wasn't knocking it out of the park. Spencer Knight's had 6 games, 2 playoff games. He's shown well in all of them. But eventually, you know, the point I'm making is that I'd really rather have Drieger as backup than Bob. If you're just going to hand Spencer Knight the starting position, because Drieger has that calming effect. If Knight has a bad game or two, I feel confident you can put Drieger in, and he's going to settle things down. He may allow 2, 3, maybe even that 4th goal. Most of the time it's closer to 3, but he has a calming effect, where with Bobrovsky, you never know what you're going to get nowadays. So Knight has a couple bad games. Bob comes in to back him up. If Bob is crap as well, then you throw a Knight back out there before he's had a chance to kind of settle himself down. So I have more confidence in terms of being a backup with Drieger than I do with Knight. Now, of course, we could sit here and make a video and talk about this all day, every day, until we figure out what's going to happen. You have to have Bob waive the no-move clause, or you have to have Yandel waive a no-move clause, or you have to have Drieger decide he's going to sign with us for another year or maybe 2 because of the cap situation, and he's not going to go out there and get a huge deal. And then they all decide, you know, it depends on what Zito actually wants to do. Is Zito going to sit down with Bob and be like, you want us to send you somewhere else? You want to go somewhere else? Or do you want to stay here and split with Knight? Because even if we say Knight is the starter, you're paying Bob $10 million. you're going to split the games evenly. You're not going to just throw Spencer Knight out there at 20 years old, 21 years old, and he's going to play, 55, 60 games. How many games did Vasilevskiy play this year? Well, it was a shortened season, so I guess that's a little bit different of a situation. But he was probably on pace for, 65, maybe 70 games, something like that, because their backups have been terrible. So that's all something that, Zito's going to have he's got a hell of a job on his hands, because he's got to have a conversation with Bob, conversation with Yandel, conversation with Drieger, quite possibly a conversation with Huberdeau. You want to get Barkov extended, flat cap this year, then it will probably go up again next year. You see what the NFL is doing. They're raising the cap by 20 or 25%. And then what they're saying is that if there's extra revenue, instead of even raising the cap more, they're going to retroactively pay back some of the money. Now, I don't know how that relates to what the NHL is going to do, but it's not going to be. There's going to be bigger money out there in 2 years than there is in this offseason. And then you have to, talk about Seattle at the same time, right? If we jettison Bob, Seattle's not taking Bob. Don't even go there. But if somehow Bob wants to go someplace else, so then he waives, we split the contract with somebody else who will gladly take Bobrovsky at 5 years and $5 million, or even 5 years and $6 million. Somebody to take that deal. Then you got to figure out what to do with Drieger. If we re-sign Drieger to be the backup tonight, now we're losing somebody, right? Now, if Drieger is being re-signed, we'd have to have jettisoned Bob. I guess we could expose Bob and protect Drieger, and knowing that Seattle's not going to take Bob unless they want to split it with us. I mean, maybe, right? But that whole mess could end up to us losing a Vetrano or a Chari or a Forsling in the expansion draft. So the number of moving pieces, the number of moving parts. And here's the thing I want to say about social media, Facebook, comment section. There's no fighting about this. All right? There's no fighting. There's no disparaging anybody for whatever crazy opinion they might have. Because I guarantee you, at this point last season, had somebody said, why don't we just get Hornqvist from Pittsburgh for Matheson, that person would have got bludgeoned. Saying, there's no way Pittsburgh's going to send us Hornqvist for Matheson. Are you stupid? And then we see what happens. So, there's no name calling. There's no disparaging. Anything is possible at this point. I don't care what your opinion is. I don't care if you think somehow we're going to find a way to trade Bob to somebody and not have to eat salary. Look, anything is possible. All right, so let's just start off there. It's going to be a long enough season for us, off season for us Panther fans. We don't need to be fighting amongst ourselves on whose opinion is right or wrong, because anything, and I mean anything, could happen. We could end up with Knight and no Drieger and no Bob, and still lose like a Forsling to Seattle. Anything could happen at this point. All right, let's go down the list. I want to do some impromptu grades of some players. First thing I want to say is, if you watched the ending of the last video where I was all emotional at the end of the game, I'm only going to take back 20% of my criticism of Barkov, because apparently he was dealing with the shoulder injury, and we knew he was kind of hurt. However, I'm only going to take back just maybe like 10%, maybe 20% of my criticism of him, because the problem of not shooting happens when he's healthy anyway, okay? Now, if somebody on the team wants to come out and say he wanted to shoot, but he didn't because his arm was hurting, all right, I'll bite on that, but I'm going to bite on it and it's going to taste sour, and I'm not fully convinced, because he has the same problem when he's healthy, except for this season he did shoot more. So I'll back off a little bit of the criticism, not all of it. Now, that doesn't excuse the infection rate, okay, of the rest of the team with the overpassing, especially with Huberdeau in close. It worked with Jágr because, they had a very, very special chemistry, and Jágr had just, amazing puck control, you know what I mean? But the overpassing's not really working with Bennett, and especially Tippett, because Tippett is close to being what he's going to be. He's a very young player. He's obviously played better. He's obviously improving, and he's obviously ready. But I think he needs to get better in those in-tight situations with getting to the puck and controlling it and getting those rebounds. If you're going to play with Huberdeau, you're going to play with Bennett, you've got to be able to have a good game close to the net. I think he needs to improve on that. He needs to improve on when he's got an opportunity close to the net, getting it on goal. You don't have to say you got to get it behind the goalie every time, but get it on goal so that maybe Bennett or Huberdeau get to a rebound. So, in terms of grades, I'm going to start out with Barkov. He had an A season. Barkov is like this enigma because he gets so much praise and everything that we expect so much from him. It's like when Marino would throw for 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. It'd be like, yeah, he does it every year, but when are we going to win a Super Bowl? So I'm going to give Barkov an A for the regular season. I'm going to give him a B-ish for the postseason because we don't know what the injury was. We don't know how much that affected him. But at the same point, he kind of looked like the same postseason Barkov that we've seen some of the time. And, sometimes he tends to get hurt in the postseason as well. There's always this little nagging injury that seems to come up and bite at him in the postseason. So it's possible maybe Barkov needs to work in the offseason and add 10, 15 pounds of muscle and get his body a little bit harder. He doesn't exactly look like he's out of shape. But I want to remind everybody who gave me shit when I told everybody a few years ago that Ekblad needed to get into the gym and focus more on working out and less on his hair and beard. And everybody told me to stop bitching about Ekblad. And then in the offseason, they did an article, and Ekblad said, I stopped going out so much, and I focused more on going to the gym. And I retweeted the story and said, see, I told you he needed to go to the gym, and then he blocked me. And that's a true story. So Barkov, don't block me. But you've got good genes. You're in good shape. You look like you could be in better shape. You look like you could make that muscle a little thicker and get yourself a little bit more ready for the postseason play. So we'll go there. Carter Verhaeghe, I'm going to give you an A for the series, for the season, and like a C- for the playoffs. Number one, because we got so used to you playing at an A level that you were unrecognizable in the playoffs. It's a C- and not worse because you didn't really hurt us defensively. You didn't do anything stupid defensively. But offensively, it just seemed like you would get the puck and skate in circles and do nothing and then lose the puck. I don't know what happened during the playoffs. I don't know if Tampa Bay was just too good for you, or if you had felt a lot of pressure because Barkov was hurt and not playing up to par, what you were used to. Whatever the case may be, you definitely cost yourself some money in terms of a long-term deal with that performance in the playoffs. Going down the lines here as far as my memory is concerned, Mason Marchman. You guys are going to laugh at this, but in terms of what your job is, I got to give you an A-. In terms of what Mason Marchman's job is, this is a guy that played during the regular season. You kind of want to give him a B for the regular season and like basically an A+ for the playoffs. I mean, if you had Mason Marchman having 2 goals in 6 games in the playoffs, you just didn't. You're lying, okay? So, going to give him an A+ for the playoffs, a B for the regular season. That's the kind of player we want. Guy that steps up and plays better in the playoffs. So you will not hear me say one bad thing about him next year. He can play at a nice B level, but come playoff time, that's the kind of guy you want. We're going to go right now to Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett. Sam, this is funny. I was talking with my cable guy because I had an enormous amount of Wi-Fi problems. We've got it half solved. They have to replace like all the wires from the pole to the house, and it's like everything has to be replaced. So it's a little bit better today, but there's still more work to be done. And we were talking about politics and the governor and everything, and he called our governor an unreliable whore. Sam Bennett, unreliable whore. I like that. Now, I'm going to tell you why, okay? First of all, I think I love the kid. That's not disparaging him. I'm not calling him a whore. But the thing of it is that, we come to expect a certain level of play from him, from what we saw in the regular season. Now, in the postseason, it's not that he had not that he had a tremendous drop-off. His level of play was pretty close to what we had seen. The penalties, though. All right? I get it in the first game. You're defending Barkov. You take the charge. I get it. I do. I'm not criticizing you, but at the same point, if you play the result, I'm sure at that point he thinks he's taking the charge, he's going to take the penalty, and that's that. Nobody would have expected the suspension out of that except for Tampa Bay fans, obviously. That hurt. There's just no way around that, because you look at game 2, we scored a goal. And that was at home, and that was the game, the entire game, I thought for sure that we were going to come back and win. And then again last night, he takes just a really bad penalty. He just took a really bad penalty. So that's twice in 6 games he's cost us hardcore. And yes, it's the PK's job to kill the penalty and all of that, and that's fine. I'm not calling you a whore, Sam Bennett. I like you. You're a good player. You're a good kid. I want you on the team. It was just a funny analogy because you kind of come to expect a certain thing, and then it's kind of a letdown. So we'll go with that. So I'm going to give you a B+ for your regular season because you were only here for a short period of time, and I'm going to give you a C+ for the postseason because you kind of tried to play your game. You played a little bit over the edge, and every time you went even a little bit over the edge, the referees were there to make sure that they docked you for it. So, especially that penalty the other night, this last game, you had to know they already got a bullseye on you, kid, and you just didn't need to do that extra. You just didn't need to do the extra. But you did, and it cost us, and that's why, you get another chance for this next year, don't screw it up. Jonathan Huberto, I'm going to give you an A for the regular season, and I'm going to give you a B. I can't tell if it's a B+ or a B-. We're just going to give you a B for the postseason. Yeah, you were leading the NHL in points in the postseason. That's all whoop-de-doo, okay? That doesn't excite me. What excites me is, excuse me, playing the result here, okay? I'm playing the result. And the overpassing. If this was a new problem and it was just being caused by Tampa Bay's defense, which was really damn good. But here's the thing. Everybody is praising Tampa's defense, especially for the block shots and for getting the sticks on the pucks. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's because they know what we're going to do. We're so ridiculously predictable. Look at what Tampa designed, okay? They designed that play where Kucherov gets the one-timer and scores a goal, and then the next time he fakes the one-timer, passes to the middle of the point, and the net is wide open. And they beat Bob and Drieger with that shot. We didn't know what was going to come. That's coaching. We'll get to that later. At the same time, there was just too many times, Huberto, where you're close in on the net, and you've got a 2-on-1, or you've got an opportunity, and you're taking one too many passes. It's happening too often, so you get a B. Who else is on that line? Tippett. Oh, and Tippett. I'm going to give him a B all the way around. I think he was pretty much the same player in the playoffs as he was towards the end of the season. You see that he's ready to be out there. He needs to work on burying his chances, staying on his skates a little bit better, and getting rid of the puck a little bit quicker. And I think at least 2 of those are going to come with experience. He probably needs to do a little bit of leg work, a little bit of core work, get stronger so he doesn't get knocked off his skates so fast. He needs to do, like I said, that short game stick work. He needs to get better with his stick so when he gets a rebound, he can get on it a little bit quicker. He had a lot of times where he's overskating, underskating, puck going over and under his stick. He's got to get better that way. And he's got to get better with, he's just got to get better aim. When he is taking a shot, he's got a hell of a shot. Just hit the net, dude. Just hit the net. Get a rebound, okay? You can't constantly be wide and out because your shot is so strong. You miss the net. It's hitting that corner, and it is whoop. It is whipping around, and Yandel is not going to stop it at the line. And we're without Ekblad. Ekblad's probably the only one capable of stopping your shot at the line, with the exception of sometimes Weegar and Forsling. But with Ekblad out, that hurt us. So, I'm going to give you, a very good first year in terms of finally getting in that top 6. You're going to have competition next year. You have stuff to work on in your game. Absolutely. Real quick here, I don't want to kill everybody with details on every player. Alex Wenberg, I'm looking forward to Anton Lundell coming. Not that Wenberg is bad, but he's just the invisible man. He's just like a guy out there that plays hockey. There's nothing bad, there's nothing good. He's just a guy, we need better. Patrick Hornqvist, you had a great start. You had a lull there. You got some rest. You look pretty much like yourself in the playoffs. You're eating up a lot of cap space. And you're an attractive player. I want to keep Patrick Hornqvist, but I said it before, I say it again. Do not be surprised if he ends up part of some deal one way or another, whether it's the clear cap space or as a sweetener into another deal. Don't be surprised. I don't want that to happen, but for some reason my gut is just, I'm a little bit nervous about that. Okay? Who else is on that third line? Well, the other wingers on that third line are pretty much are rotating along with a rotation. Let's go with a few other people. Let's go with Duclair. Duclair. Jeez. I've never seen a guy do so little with so much. I never seen it before in my life. If you could somehow solve the problem you've had your entire career, which is getting chances and not burying them for the most part. I know a couple years ago you had a lot of goals. Find out what's wrong and fix it, dude. You drive play, you get chances. Nobody snake bit for an entire season and postseason, right? The game that you play, you have to finish. You have to finish. I'm going to give you a C across the board. 100% C. You're playing your game. You're not costing us defensively, but offensively, what? Fix it. I don't know what, dude. Fix it. I know I'm going to forget some people. Let's get with Achari here real quick. Noel Achari, what can you say about Noel Achari? He plays his game. He did seem to slow down a little bit towards the end of the season in the playoffs. I'm sure he was beat to crap. I don't want to criticize the guy, but he did seem to slow down a little bit. This is gonna surprise some people here. Don't be surprised if Noel Achari is the one that we lose to Vegas. He's captain material, and when you get into the next guy I'm going to talk about, Vetrano, who's on that third line, that very well may be the choice that we have to make if we come down to it, if we're not going to be losing Drieger. It may be a Vetrano or an Achari. I don't want to lose Achari, but I'm not sure that that Seattle is going to be all that excited about taking Vetrano after his performance here in the playoffs. Vetrano gets hot, Vetrano gets cold. Vetrano stayed cold the entire playoffs. He had the one pass to Ryan Lomberg when I bitched at him. But other than that, he did kaputs. Basically that entire third line. As a group, as a collective line. I know Hornqvist got the goal the other night, but he was playing, I think, with either Barkov or Huberdeau on that shift. The third line, as a group, collectively got us basically nothing. And Vetrano was not running around hitting people like he normally would be. He did not play his game. It's almost like Bennett came in and sucked all the air out of Vetrano's game, and Vetrano is just kind of a little bit lost. It's possible he may be feeling that he's going to be the guy on the outs with Seattle. For whatever reason, he just wasn't at the top of his game in the playoffs. I'm going to give Vetrano a B, B minus. Kid needs to find a way to be more consistent with the score. With the scoring, with the goal scoring. And unless he's hurt, unless he was pretty banged up, I'm pretty disappointed with the play that he put in the playoffs in terms of physicality. Maybe he's just the guy that feels he belongs in the top six, and he's given a little bit of a pelt there. All right, let's switch to defense a little bit. Aaron Ekblad, you get incomplete, obviously. I said it. I was talking with Kyle about it today. We played a series with Ekblad and starting off Game 1 with Knight. At the very least, we're playing hockey tonight in Game 7. And maybe we've already won this series. We're close. We're close. Ekblad being out just had such a chain reaction down the lineup. We all knew it when it happened. We saw flashes that maybe we could mitigate things, but we couldn't. Ekblad gets an A and an incomplete. Mackenzie Weegar. Well, Mackenzie Weegar and Gustav Forsling made us think that come playoff time we were set, we were good. We had made up for the loss of Ekblad. Yeah. Not so much. Weegar had a horribly inconsistent series. I know somebody said in the comments in the last video that I was too harsh on Weegar. I don't even know what I said, but I'll tell you this. I'll give him a pass because this was his first, and hopefully only, playoff experience as a #1 defenseman. He did have a lot of pressure on him. He was playing with Forsling, who was clearly struggling in those first couple of games. And then he gets paired with Strawman, who's not exactly Ekblad, okay? Strawman held his own there, but Weegar, I think Weegar just crashed under the pressure. He was clearly trying to do too much. So I don't want to bash the kid too hard, so maybe I was too harsh on him. It's a hell of a learning experience for him. It's a hell of a way to have the learning experience with us getting booted out of the first round again. If in the playoffs, if we would have gotten the Weegar that we had during the regular season and Forsling, I think at least we're, again, playing Game 7 tonight. And I'll just lump Forsling in there with Weegar. We didn't expect Gustav Forsling. There was no thought when he came in that he was going to be the top pair in the playoffs. That nobody, okay? So, but he played well enough with Weegar when Ekblad went out that we thought, okay, we look pretty good. And Forsling, no. Forsling, look, obviously, he's probably ready to be a second pair defenseman or a very, very good bottom pair defenseman. He's somebody that you want to continue to develop, you want on your team. Seattle might want him on their team. But up top, against Kucherov and Stamkos and the rest of that, it was a disaster, and it was not just waiting to happen, it happened. He didn't play all that horrible as the series went on, but the first 2 games, 3 games, whatever it was, until Q moved him back down, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Radko Gudas had his moments in this series of being our most steady defenseman. And when Radko Gudas is your most steady defenseman, you have a problem. I'll say the same thing with Stralman. Stralman had his moments of being very steady, but when Stralman is sticking out as the steady defenseman, you have a problem. Okay? We know what the problem was with Noah Ekblad and Weegar not being like Weegar. So, you know, Gudas played his game. I would have liked to have seen a few more hits to take some of the pressure off, but he didn't get it. He had a few good hits. You know, towards the end of the season there, he seemed to back up a little bit and not be playing as physical as he was during the regular season. Again, I'm not criticizing Sam Bennett. I love his style of play, but it's almost like when we got Bennett, Gudas and Vetrano kind of backed off a little bit. They became a little bit less aggressive for whatever reason. So everybody needs to be going. Everybody needs to look at Bennett and be like, we're going to all play like that, just a little bit on the other side of the edge. Just right before the edge, not right over the edge. What else on defense? Nutavara. Again, a guy that stepped up at the end of the regular season, thought we was pretty solid going into the playoffs. And then he had a tough time there. He came back in for the last game. He really wasn't bad. He saved a goal there at one point. Another good young player you want on your team. Obviously, you know, a solid guy to have bottom pair with you know, second pair potential. He had played with Columbus when they beat Tampa when Bobrovsky was with Columbus. I was surprised to hear that because of how poorly he had started off playing in the series. I thought it was because of playoff inexperience, but it wasn't. I don't want to lose Notavara. He's good, solid depth, especially during the regular season. Doesn't hurt you. He's usually invisible, which is kind of what you want out of your bottom pair guys. Having to depend on him during the playoffs because of Ekblad's injury and Stralman's decline and Yandel's inability to do anything correct. None of ours, you know, if we're going to be winning a round or two or more of the playoffs, Nutavara is got to be defenseman number 6, 7, or maybe even 8, because we need to be that good above him. 8 might be pushing it, but either 6 or 7, you know. All right, Keith Yandel. I'm not going to devote a bunch of time to this. Everybody knows how I feel. Everybody knows how everybody else feels about Keith Yandel. I'm going to trigger everybody right now. I'm going to trigger myself. Now, I thought about this. I haven't looked this exactly up. Okay? However, I would like it noted that in Game 2, we played Yandel, and we only allowed 2 goals. And then the 2 games that he didn't play, Game 3, Game 4, we allowed 11 goals. And then Game 5, he played, and we won, and we allowed a goal. And then Game 6, he didn't play, and we lost, and we allowed 3 plus the empty net. I'm going to say that again just in case you guys missed it. And I'm going to use this as an example of, let's just say it with me right now. Statistics are bullshit. Let's just call it what it is. Because either statistics are bullshit or Keith Yandel should be playing. Because I'm going to say it again. Game 2, he did not play. Or excuse me, Game 2 he played, and we allowed the 1 goal, 2 goals, and lost. Game 3 and Game 4 out, 11 goals. We won one of those, but 11 goals. Then we put him back in for Game 5. We won and only allowed 1 goal. And then Game 6, he was out. So either statistics prove that we're much better with Keith Yandel, or statistics are bullshit. And that's all I'm going to say about Keith Yandel. All right, let's do the goaltending real quick here. Sergei Bobrovsky, you get a C. You get a C, complete C. I give you a C plus for the regular season and a C minus for the postseason. Some people are going to say, well, he played better. Yeah, he played better. Drieger played better than Bob. And Drieger is not making $10 million. If you don't want me to count his salary and his grade, I will give Bob a B for the regular season and still give him a C minus for the playoffs. Who the hell knows what's going to happen during the off season? I think the only thing we know for sure right now is that Bob's not coming back next year and getting 50, 60 starts as the starter. I don't think that's going to happen. At the very least, he's coming back and splitting with Knight, unless Knight just runs away with it, and then Bob will be a typical backup, except for the $10 million part. Drieger, going to give you a B for the regular season. Either a B minus or a C plus for the postseason. Came in game 2, 2 goals. We couldn't get any, and we lost. Right? Then game 3, looks like you got it all under control, and then the second period happened. No good. Then what? Game 4, you got the start. Was that the start? I'm losing games. The point is, you had a mixed bag. You had a mixed bag. B minus, C plus for the playoffs. Again, we don't know where the hell he's going to be. He could be our backup. He could be splitting games with Knight. Or he could be in Seattle. Or he could be anywhere else. There's no way to know. Spencer Knight, you don't even get a grade. There's no grade I can give you because the chart doesn't go high enough. Okay? There's no grade I can give you because an A plus is just not good enough. All right? I guess the only thing better that you could have done is shut out the Lightning in Game 6, and we'd still be playing because Vasilevskiy wasn't getting scored on either. So we'd be somewhere around period 14 or 15 at this point. I can't give you anything but an A plus. Considering your age and experience, and we just threw you out there against the Cup champs, and you stole a game, and then did everything you possibly could to keep us in Game 6. There's nothing but A plus and higher plus for you. There's nothing else. Coach, last thing. Coach Q. I'm gonna give you the Sundowners Award for 2021. Okay? Because I'm gonna say that is the only way that we can account for the crazy, sometimes brilliant, sometimes beyond stupid, but crazy decisions that you make as soon as the sun starts to go down. We've already had practice, we've already had warm-ups, and the sun starts to set, and you get these crazy ideas in your head, and sometimes they work, like Mason Marchman on the top line, and sometimes not so much. So we're going to give you a grade of Sundowners Plus. I'm sorry. It's funny, but it's not funny, but it's funny, but it's funny. I'm sorry, it's funny. You got thoroughly outcoached every time we played Carolina. You were not as thoroughly outcoached, but still outcoached when it comes time to play Tampa Bay. Look, I didn't see anything that our coaches did like what Tampa Bay's coaches did. And I use the example again of that whole set play. They scored on both goaltenders with the same play, faking the one-timer, passing it to point. Point's wide open, nobody on the defense covers them. The goalie is nowhere to be frickin' found, and boop, right in the net. That's twice. That's coaching. The players didn't come up with that stuff by themselves. That's coaching. So you got out-coached again. It happens. You know, you lost your star defenseman. You've got a $10 million goaltender who is probably aging. Let's just face it at this point. We signed a guy on the wrong side of 30 for $10 million. He's not going to play terrible. He's going to be flashes of his old self. But guys don't go back to being what they were at 29 when they're 33. It doesn't happen. It's not going to happen. It's not Bob's fault. We love him. He's a Florida Panther. We're not hating on him. But I don't care what sport it is. You don't go backwards in time. It doesn't happen. So we have to deal with the situation. Best possible situation is we find a sucker. We eat $4 million of his 10. They take the 6. And if we can do that and lose Yandel's 7.5, we're not even that much worse off. And we go with Spencer Knight, and this goalie controversy thing can just end, and Bob can go somewhere and have his almost 3 goals against goal, average for the season, and his just kind of 900 save percentage, and just go be happy somewhere else. All right, that's long enough, right? That's enough. Let's give the team a grade. Let's give the team a grade, but it's not going to be a grade. Give me a second here, guys. We're going to give the team a grade of. Geez. Yeah, that's their grade, is that geez. All right? And here's why. All right? Because if you count last year, this is technically the 3rd time that this core of Huberdeau and Barkov, and I can't say Ekblad, so Huberdeau and Barkov have made the postseason. They did it at the time when Ekblad was very young with Campbell, and they had Yager. Technically, kind of technically, last year, whatever, postseason, whatever you want to call it, they were at full strength last year. And then this year, I'll cut them, a 20% break because without Ekblad. Now, they still lost in the exact same manner they lost all of the other times. Okay? So that's why they get a geez. All right? If we had gotten shut out by Vasilevskiy in a 45-50 shutout, right? And we're just buzzing the entire game, and Vasilevskiy is doing cartwheels on his head. Oh, I can handle that. But when you're still this far into their careers, what is it? Huberdeau 9, Barkov 8? Are we that far along? We're close to it, if not there. This far along. And we're still losing in the same manner. We're all still sitting here screaming, shoot, at the TV. So the only grades you can get when you lose in the same fashion is a geez. That's the only grade I can give these guys. Across the board, as a team, geez. And the only thing you can do to improve geez is say, not again. Just not again. If you come back next year and you lose in Game 7 of Round 1, you better have 50 frickin' shots. That's all I'm saying. All right? Shoot the puck. Go down swinging. It's not rocket science. It's not personal either. All right. That does it for 2021 hockey season. That's it. Kaputs. I'm going to be turning the camera around over this direction. You see Don Shula and Larry Zonka. And Don Shula is kicking Jim Manditz in the ass over here, and Don Shula is getting ready to punch that referee. And I got Mercury, or was that Mercury Morris? No, what's his name? It's Mercury Morris over here, and I got a few more somewhere else. I'm not going to stop doing hockey content. Don't worry about that. I'm still going to have at least 1 to 2 Florida Panthers videos out every week. I'm sure we will do enough in the off season to keep us all busy and scratching our heads and wondering what, or maybe we'll surprise ourselves and pull another Hornqvist for Matheson type deal. There'll be plenty to talk about. I haven't figured out how, but somehow I'm going to cover the rest of the NHL playoffs, some way, shape, or form. But I can't take it seriously like I take the Panther stuff. So I'll figure something out. I'll figure something out there. But in terms of this year, that was it, guys. That was it. You know what I mean? I thought I was going to make this video yesterday. Kind of wanted to give the emotions a day to kind of come down, hear the quotes from the exit interviews and all of that. Very, very interested now. At no time until right now have I really thought that we have a chance to get rid of Bob. But listening to what Q said about it, I'm sure that they're having the discussion with Zito and Q of like, look, I don't know if we can get rid of Bob, but let's explore the possibility. They're going to go down every rabbit hole, every possibility to find a way to get rid of Bob. They're going to do it, all right? And they have to do it quick, too, because we got to know if we're getting rid of Bob, then we want to re-sign Drieger, and we can afford it. So, you know, jeez, if we could get somebody else to take 60% of Bob, that gives us $6 million in cap relief over Bob. If we could sign Drieger with that money, even for 2 years, to be Knight's backup, to split with Knight, but there's no controversy, right? That could work, right? And then we basically have Drieger and Knight for what we have Bob and Drieger. So, yeah, I don't know. They'll work something out. All right, guys. Appreciate everybody's support. Oh, for anybody who's still watching, I should have said this at the beginning. I'm going to have to do another video just on this subject. I'm putting together a Discord for the Patreon members. It's going to be Patreon exclusive. Now, if you are a $3 Patreon, you get invited to the Discord. If you are a $5 Patreon, you get invited to the Discord, and you can send me the name of one extra person who's not a Patreon, and they can also get invited to the Discord. So I don't want it to be like locked down hard, only Patreon people. I want other people to be able to come in, but at the same time, I want to use it as an incentive to join the Patreon. So as long as my internet and everything stays okay this weekend, I should, 90-95% sure, have that set up by the end of the weekend. So if you're interested in that, I'm sure it's going to be a slow beginning slow process at the beginning, but towards as season gets on, and we also have some Miami Dolphins stuff coming up too. So if you're interested in that, the link to the Patreon is in the description of all my videos basically now. I think it's basically like the first link. You can go to the Patreon, $3 a month. I do articles over there most days. I'm still doing videos over there. We're going to have the Discord. I'm very, very hypersensitive to making sure that the people that are paying on the Patreon are getting some value. I'm very, very sensitive to that. Even if I can't do a video, I will write out an article. So if you're interested in that, $3 or $5 a month will get you in there. All right, thank you. I will see you guys some point this weekend. Today's Friday. I'm not going to leave this channel dead like I have in years past. So I will see you guys soon.